I'm doing an introduction to paid marketing, so I'm the second Gary of this day, obviously the first being over there. Now, paid marketing. So is anyone familiar with paid marketing? Anyone ever looked at ads, seen some ads? I'm sure you all have seen many ads over all of the platforms that you've been introduced to over the years. Now, before we get into that though, I just want to say a little bit about me. Yes, I am a paid media expert, as we call it, but I do have a normal life as well. I'm not just involved in looking at numbers. So just a few little things. So yes, I did go to university. I know obviously you guys were speaking earlier about whether it's better to go to university, whether it's better to get an apprenticeship. I took a bit of a random route. So I actually went to university and I did a degree that was focused more on physiotherapy. Absolutely nothing to do with what I do today. I then, funny enough, as the story is correct, I did find it wasn't really a discarded textbook. It was more, well, I guess discarded from an ex-partner. Picked it up, started to read it, learned a little bit about the psychology of marketing, and then instantly got hooked. I then went on, as Amy mentioned, to do my own, I do a master's degree in digital marketing, which of course led me here. I do also do other stuff, so I like to go to festivals, so Download Festival is amazing. Anyone ever been to Download? No? No metalheads? No? All Justin Bieber fans? That's fine. And then I also love to do charity running as well. So here's me, I did a 5K race around Hyde Park, dressed as a lion. Probably a bit stupid, doesn't really show that I'm a normal person, but it's the only PG image that I could find on my Google Drive. So enough about me. So what is paid media? Anyone just want to shout out? Any confident individuals in the room? Paid media, paid marketing, PPC. Anyone heard of that before? No? That's all right. I know at least. So paid media is nice and bold, as you can see. Wow. Anything that's to do with ads. So search ads, sponsorships, social ads, and all of those things. Companies typically use paid media in conjunction with other things as well. So you've got earned media and owned media. Now, we're not going to talk about these much, so I'm just going to highlight them now and then we can move on. Earned media in itself is anything your business earns. So for example, you have an amazing product, you have an amazing service. What do you get when you deliver this amazing service? You get a review. That in itself is an earned portion of your media kind of bucket, we'll call it. And then you have owned media. Now, owned media are things that your business or yourself, as you're an individual or freelancer or however you want to put yourself, actually owns. So the website, your email, podcast, social media posts, etc. There is a little bit of a confusion because, of course, most people do pay for their websites. But ultimately, paid media refers to something where it's an ongoing payment. So, for example, with Google Ads, you pay for every single time that somebody clicks on one of your ads. It's not like a one-off payment and then it consistently goes. Now, again, open it up to the room. Hopefully you've got some confidence now. Where is paid media? So where have all of you seen some ads? I'm sure you've all got TikTok. Well, most of you. I'm sure most of you have been on Google. Anyone got any other ideas of where they've seen ads? Yes. Billboards, exactly. So that falls out of the remit of paid media in itself because that's more digital. But in itself, that is correct. Now, oh, a nice blank slide. So there are many, many places where ads are housed or shown, or at least we bid on them at advertisers. So we've got websites such as the BBC, TikTok, StackAdapt is a programmatic provider. So sometimes when you go on websites, probably not that you guys do, but when you go on websites like The Sun, you'll see banner advertisements. Nice. We've also got Google. I'm sure you've all been on Google, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Spotify, and so on. There's many, many places. If you haven't seen an ad, then you've just never been online, let's be honest. Now, here's a few examples. As you can see from the top two, the one on the top left and the one on the top right, it kind of gives an example of how advertisements work. Now, as you can see on the left, I've used the word cupcakes. Don't know why, that was popped into my head. We've shown some shopping ads. Now, the way that PPC, at least this part works, is you ultimately bid on, or a load of individuals or a load of businesses will bid on one particular keyword. So in this instance, the keyword is cupcakes. So there is a particular fee to show an ad in any one of these placements, whether it's on the left side here, whether it's on the Times website, whether it's on Amazon and you're looking for socks, whether it's on YouTube and you're trying to show something at the beginning of the video. Each one of these will cost you an individual amount of money. Now, to give a comparison of how the costs change, you've got the ones on the left, cupcakes. It probably cost about 50p every single time somebody clicks on your ad. To legal advice. Now, I work with a legal client, and sometimes, don't go crazy when you go on Google after this and start clicking people's ads, but sometimes that ad at the top there could cost up to £80 just if you click on it, which is a bit crazy because, of course, you know, if you're an advertiser and you start sending out those ads and your product isn't or service isn't exactly as good as it could be, You then immediately after one day, you could pay thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds for nothing. Now, I'll give you an answer, then I'll just open it up to the room. Now, the reason why, you may have seen actually if I go back, why we actually use paid media, and I'm sure you've been on Google, as I've said, there's a common theme. So every single ad is at the top. It's above all the organic listings. So the way that we use paid media and the way that we or the reason as to why we want to use it more is because you get there first. There's a lot of competition on particular terms. There's probably loads of business that offer legal advice and cupcakes. So ensuring that you're at the top, you're paying the highest amount is very important. And that's a big part of my job. That's what I essentially manage. Now, can anyone else think of any other reason why we would use ads, why we would use paid media? Any ideas? No? It's all good. I will tell you. So it is paid targeting method. So it gets a little bit scary. Obviously, sometimes you've been talking to your friends about teddy bears or something, I have no idea, and suddenly ads will pop up for you. The reason why this is because we can actually target people by your location, your demographic, and any of your interests and behaviors. Now, Google, Meta, Facebook and Instagram, and all these other platforms essentially house your data. It sounds a little bit scary, but it's not as scary as it is. They don't actually know me as Gary Monger that likes stuff. I'm not going to out myself. But they kind of have an idea. So if you've frequently been going on particular websites, you've been looking at Action Man, you've been looking at whatever the hell you're looking at, then, I don't know why I said Action Man, and then it would know that, and then we could serve you an ad. If we simply select a button that just goes, right, serve to anyone that has an interest in this particular thing. Now, that's all well and good. It's good for me to tell you basically, what paid media is, why do we use it, and all things like that. But I think if any of you are considering a career in advertising in itself, it's good that you understand exactly what we do or what I do on a daily basis. Now, I've freshly stolen these images from Google, so if anyone has actually had any part in making these, I'm very sorry for stealing from you. But using the top left, so obviously one of the biggest ones is analytics. I spend most of my time analyzing data. I essentially will go into clients' accounts for Google Analytics, look at user locations, what they've done on landing pages, what ads they've seen, look at particular elements of their demographics, and shape my marketing strategy based on what I find. Client meetings, so probably every single day near enough, I'm on the phone to a client, whether that's through Zoom or whatever kind of platform the company decides to use, Google Meets, and I'm delivering the results, basically telling them, here's how good it is, here's how crap it is, and then moving forwards and understanding exactly how we need to develop the strategy. Obviously, creativity, I think there's a big misconception with paid media, and I think people understand when you look at advertising, you kind of think like, right, so all I'm going to be doing is creating ads, right? Completely wrong. That in itself is something that you will definitely start off doing. It kind of hits in with more of an executive-based role. As you progress and hit kind of a role like myself, senior paid media manager, then you start to anchor more towards the strategy, which leads me on to kind of the other picture. It says a brain. You do need a brain, yes, but it's more about psychology. So specifically at Reflect Digital, I know a lot of agencies do this, but what we do is we focus massively on human behavior and psychology. So when you start to develop your skills and you start to understand a little bit more about businesses, a little bit more about clients, you've worked with loads of different clients, you can then look at your analytical data and go back through and say, right, okay, I can understand that this particular person, there's another one, this particular person, this particular business, or these particular users prefer this when they're purchasing this certain product. I've also included the map of the world. It's kind of just to show off, really. If we are lucky enough to win awards, or we're lucky enough in the paid media department, I think this refers to SEO as well, we actually get to travel the world. So if our clients are in Russia, okay, maybe not Russia, it's probably a bad example. If our clients are in like Germany or anything like that, then of course we can go visit them, we can deliver the results there, or if we win awards, we recently went to Barcelona in 2021, well I didn't, but still. Now, this leads me on to talk about the effective skills. Not a very pretty slide, but still, it does the job. Now, the first and foremost one, obvious, is analytical skills. And this leads me to kind of talking into about where you were looking at the speeches that were happening earlier. It was kind of a case of you don't necessarily know exactly where you want to go in life immediately. Now, I didn't, as I said. I started off aiming towards being a physiotherapist. Actually, I didn't really mention this, but my first degree was chemical engineering. Then I quit that on the first year and then moved into physiotherapist, and then I finally jumped into marketing. So it took me a while. I mean, I didn't fully get into my digital marketing career until I was 24. I'm 29 now. But there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with bouncing around. It's all about gaining these key skills, which you can then develop and use in a kind of a long or a wide mastery of different kind of career paths. So maths very important. That can be used in many different careers. Obviously, the analytical skills, which I mentioned, is very important. Technical skills, it's not something you're going to pick up unless you randomly decide to one day, like, oh, I'm going to go learn Google Ads. There's many kind of courses online to do so. Creativity, so art, design, writing. I mentioned to the previous group, but I think on that note, you don't really get involved with the actual design of the ads. You have a lot of creative input. So for a client brief, for example, I may go along and I may say, right, this is what I want. I want a little man standing here or a little lady standing here doing this, and they need to do that. And you kind of have a creative input. You're not necessarily designing them by yourself. The writing side of things, though, very important. As I showed you with the search ads that were at the top, we do write these. We do fully contribute to whatever's in there. So, for example, coming up with great USPs, call to actions, and things like that for our clients. Communication skills, massive. Ultimately, in terms of especially progression in this career, if you find yourself not being able to deliver stuff to clients in an articulate way and being able to kind of progress in that sense, it does become quite difficult. So communication skills in the marketing field are quite key. Attention to detail now, on any given day, I'd use the example of the last 2 years, I probably worked with, I can't even give you a number, maybe between 30 and 50 different clients from a freelance and from an actual working perspective as well. So these clients are all over the place, and they spend a huge amount of different money. So, for example, some of them have spent £1,000, some of them have spent £50,000 a month. I've had a client where it was Black Friday and they've spent over 100 grand in one particular month just on advertising. Now, so your attention to detail is key because you're spending somebody else's money. If you're going to go into it and basically say, right, okay, let's just send it all to this person, it's probably not going to work. Adaptability, so again, kind of favours the same point. I work with loads of different businesses, loads of different styles of businesses, loads of different industries. So being able to work with a lawyer in a completely different, when you're working with a lawyer, you'll work with them in a completely different way than you'll work with somebody that's selling wallpaper, for example. So adaptability is key, and of course, understanding human behaviour. I did mention, of course, that Reflect Digital would really focus on the human behaviour element of things. Now, I just want to open up to the floor again. What is important to you when you buy something? So I'll answer one first. So when I buy something, I really like to look at the quality of the product. So I'd rather go for something that's perhaps £100 as opposed to 25 because I know it's going to last a little bit longer. Is anyone, it doesn't have to be something you've purchased, it could just be a random idea. Has anyone got anything? Amy, do you want to take this one? Sustainability. Nice. Imogen?
The service.
Perfect. Now, basically the point is there's going to be so many different reasons as to why you buy something. It could be the price, it could be the fact that it's got a discount, it could be that it's eco-friendly, it could be the fact of, I don't know, it makes you feel like you're a boss. I have literally no idea. It could be anything. My clicker stopped working. Now, at Reflect Digital, it's a bit of an interesting one, but we categorize each way of thinking and the way that you ultimately decide to buy something into 3 different kind of groups. Monkey, lion, or dog. Now, I'm not going to sit here and start calling you animals, that would be a bit weird, but so another way I'll put it is contextual thinking, rational thinking, or emotional thinking when you're purchasing something. Now, I'll go right to left, why not, because it's closest to me, so emotional. Now, you may purchase something, and again, this ties back to the way we deliver ads to people. You may purchase something purely because the brand has a lot of trust, a lot of loyalty, and things like that. Again, this will be reflected in the ad copy, and we can really push this particular movement. Lion, it quite simply could be down to the fact of money. So this one is cheaper than that one, this one's better than that one, and so on and so forth. And finally, monkey. So monkey's a bit of a difficult one to use. We tend to use lion and dog a little bit more than monkey, but monkey is basically status, title, and ranking. So I gave the example to the previous group. A lot of people will only buy a Rolex because you'll look the shit, basically. You'll look cool as hell. Or you'll think yourself as above others. And that in itself is a reason as to why people buy something. So again, we anchor on that, or perhaps lion or dog, and we tailor our messaging and we adapt our entire strategies in that way. That's it from me. Has anyone got any questions? No? Yeah.
Which channels do you think are going to be the most effective in the next 5 years?
So, see if you'll get involved this way. So, in terms of how you lot search and how you look for things, can you just raise your hands if you still use Google to search for stuff? There's quite a lot of you. And how many of you use TikTok to search for stuff? Okay. I like that. The embarrassment is me. Now, what I'm actually looking at in terms of statistics is between the ages, or anywhere up to 24, it's now 40% of people 24 and below are now using TikTok to search for things. How to bake bread, how to do this, how to do that and the other. And also TikTok ads are actually coming out soon with search ads. So we may find that as we keep getting older and new generations come in, I'm not going to use the example I told you before, then we will find that gradually everything will move over to TikTok. I think so, at least.
Brilliant. Anyone else got any questions for Gary? No? Okay, I've got one more then. How much does it cost? I know you've touched between 1,000 and 50,000 a month, but
yeah.
What could one...
So it depends on the platform. If you're trying to advertise on LinkedIn, you can't really do it without a minimum of $1,000 a month. It's quite expensive. So obviously if you're working with particular people, you have to make sure, or businesses, you have to make sure that you're recommending the correct platforms at the right time. On Google, you could probably do 50 quid a month, depending on what you're selling. Microsoft Ads, it ranges as well. So ultimately it depends on the platform.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gary. Let's give Gary a round of applause.
Thanks, dudes. There you go. Have fun.